Alright, hello and welcome to another day and another topic. Today we're going to be looking at the slope of a line, Chapter 2, Lesson 2 on page 56 in your blue book. Turn there now and let's get started. First thing that we've got to know and understand is slope and what slope is, and it's the rate of change between any 2 points on a given line. Get used to hearing this because you're going to hear it a lot. Slope is the change in y over the change in x. And if you remember, y is how far you go up and down, and x is how far you go left or right. And since it's the change in y over the change in x, we call that rise over run. Okay? Rise over run is what you're going to hear a lot. When we look at these two lines, we have a red line and we have a blue line, and we will be asked, is the slope positive or is the slope negative? It's fairly easy to tell if it's positive or negative. You're just going to look at the line, and if the line rises from left to right, like the red line does, you're going to say that this is a positive slope. If the line decreases or goes down from left to right, like the blue line does, you're going to say that is a negative slope. So here's an example of something that we just covered. Tell whether the slope of the line is either positive or negative. Only thing you have to do is look at your line that's graphed, and you just have to decide and determine whether or not that line is from left to right is going up or going down. This in particular line is going up from left to right. So to answer this, we would say that it is positive. Once we know that the line is positive, we are then asked to find the slope of the line. And let's always keep in mind that it's rise over run. They give us 2 points. Okay, we have 1 point here, which is -3, -1, and we have another point up here that is 0.34. In order to find the slope, we're going to count from one point to the other. Let's do our run first. So I'm going to start here at -3, -1, and I'm going to count either right or left until I'm lined up with the second point. So let's count. Starting here, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm moving 6 spots to the right. So my 6 is going to be positive. And keeping it rise over run, we need to put the run underneath on the bottom. Now, since we have the run, we need to find the rise. And so I left off right here, right underneath the second point. And now I need to figure out the rise. So I'm going to count up until I get to that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I hit that point right here, I went up 5. And so my rise would be a 5. So this is positive. I went to the right, which is positive, and I went up 5, which is positive. And so my line is a positive slope, and the slope of the line is 5 over 6. Here's kind of a special case, and let's walk through this one together. Here I have 2 points, and again the directions tell me to find the slope. So I'm going to start at my first point, which is 1, -5, and let's do my run to get to my second point, which is over here, 6, 5. So let's go ahead and do our run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So our run portion of our slope is 7. Now let's do our rise. Well, I'm on the same line. I'm not going up any and I'm not going down any. So what I'm going to say my rise is 0. So I have 0 over 7 is my slope. This line isn't going up or down any. So we say that the slope is 0. Here's one that You can try on your own, figure it out, pause the video, do the run or the rise first, and then do the other. Just remember that rise goes on top and run goes on the bottom. Rise over run. Okay, if you did this one, I'm going to do the run first. I don't know why, but I just do. You start here at one point and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over. So you should have 5 as your run, and your rise should be over here, I'm sorry, down 1. So since we go down 1, we need to put a negative. So you should have a negative 1/5 as your slope. Maybe you're wondering and you're asking the question, what if I start at this point instead of this point? Does it matter? Not really, and I'll show you why. Let's say we start at the second point, this one right here, and we count to the left. Do our run first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we still 5, so I still have my 5 over here. But we went to the left, so we need to make that a negative 5. And so we're right here. Now we need to do our run and our rise, excuse me. We need to do our rise, and we're going to go up 1. So that would be a positive 1. And we still get a negative 1/5, either way you slice it. So it doesn't matter what point you start from, you'll still get the same slope. Here's another one of those special situation type lines where you got to find the slope. Try this one. Okay, if you got this one, you should have got the run. Should be, let me see here. If you start here, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you would have had, let's see, a negative 6 on the bottom. But you don't go up or down any. So you put a 0 on the top, and a 0 over a negative 6 is a slope of 0. And of course, you wouldn't have to go through and calculate the run if you see a horizontal line, because automatically you should know that the slope is just going to be 0 if it's not rising or falling at all. Okay, here's another one for you to practice. Pause the video and see what you come up with. Alright, I'm going to start down here and I'm going to do my run first. 1, 2, over. So I know that my rise over run, my bottom number is going to be a 2. And then I have to go up how many times? I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and so my rise is going to be a 5. And that makes sense. So my slope is positive, and my line of my slope is also positive because it's sloping up from left to right. So I know that my answer is most likely correct. Alright, let's say you're just given a table and you don't want to graph. Can you still find the slope of the line? Of course you can. It just takes a little bit of math. For this, we're still going to be doing rise over run. You're going to get sick of hearing that. But it's something that's common. So to do this without graphing, we're going to need to pick 2 different points. So I'm going to pick 2 points. I don't know, I'll pick 1, 8, and I'll pick, 4, 6. Okay, and all I need to do is find the difference in these 2 points. So I'm going to label this x1. This is my x value in my first pair. I'm going to label this y1, and that's my y value in my first pair. x2 over here for my second x value in my second pair. and y2 for the second value in my coordinate pair. And then for my rise over run, I am going to, and this is where it becomes critical, choose a pair that's going to go first, that you're going to subtract from. So let's say we want to take our first ordered pair and then subtract our second ordered pair. You can do that as long as you remain consistent. So on the bottom, I'm going to put my runs, which is going to be 1 minus my second x coordinate, which would be 4. And since I did my first pair up here, down here, I need to do the first y minus the second y, since I did my first x minus my second x on the top. So for the rise, I'm going to have 8 minus 6. Okay, when I do that, I'm going to have 8 minus 6 is going to give me a 2 for my rise. And for my run, I'm going to get a 1 minus 4, which is going to give me a negative 3. So my slope for this line is going to be a 2, negative 3. You need to make sure that when you do this method that you remain consistent. If you're going to subtract your first pair from your second pair, you need to do that for both the x and the y. If you're going to subtract the second pair from the first pair, do that for both the x and the y. You can't intermix and mingle those two. The last thing we're going to cover today is finding which two lines are parallel. And we can't always go by the drawing because sometimes the drawing won't be accurate. And so we need to find the slope of each line. And then lines that have the same slope would be parallel. So you can choose to either use the subtraction method that you found, or that we did on the last slide, or we can do the counting method since this is graphing. I'm going to do the counting method real quick, and I'm going to start with the blue line. And I'm going to start here at negative 5, 6, and I'm going to do my run first, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so my run for the blue is 6, and my rise would be a 1, 2 down, so it's going to be a negative 2. Okay. For my red line, what do I have to do? I'm over here, and my graph wasn't big enough, and I apologize for that. I'm going to do my run first, so I'm at negative 7, 4, and I'm going to go to the right, 1, 2, 3. 3 places. So I need to write 3 for my run. And for my rise, I would be at here at a 4, and I would need to go down to a 3, and so that would be a negative 1. Now green, let's attack the green line. Start here, going to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so my run is going to be a 7, and my rise is going to be 1, 2, negative. So a negative 2. Now on the surface of this, it looks like none of these have the same slope. So you might be tempted to say none of them are parallel, but 2 of them do. One thing that you need to make sure that you're going to do is that you get it in simplest form, and the blue line is not in simplest form. I can divide each of this, the numerator and the denominator, by 2 and get a negative 1 over 3. Once I do that, I see that my red and my blue line both have a slope of negative 1 over 3, and so those two lines would be parallel. I think that concludes everything that we need to cover for this section. Don't forget that if you're using the subtraction method to find the slope, that if you are doing the first ordered pair minus the second ordered pair, that you do x1 minus x2 on the bottom and y1 minus y2 on the top. If you were to do x1 minus x2 on the bottom and on the top do y2 minus y1, your slope would be off, and in the end you would get the wrong answer. So that's one of the key things that you should take away from that. This and rise over run will be stuck in your head by the time you're done graphing. So anyway, I hope this video helped and that you understand finding the slope of a line a little bit better. Thanks for watching.